Who do you like in the East? Who do you like there?
Yeah, it's a grinder, and it's almost someone in my job, Rich. I'm almost more like who's going to be disappointed, because between Philly, Milwaukee, and Boston, all three of those teams in a lot of years in the last decade in the Eastern Conference would have walked to the final. I mean, a couple of those LeBron Cavs teams that he got to the playoffs, now a couple of them were really good, but a couple of them that made the finals would have been buzzsawed by one of these top three teams. And one of them's going home in the second round. It's a mathematical guarantee. And, in Milwaukee, you've got Chris Middleton can be a free agent, Brook Lopez can be a free agent, and Giannis has an extension option in his contract in the fall. In Philly, James Harden is headed to unrestricted free agency. So, somebody's going to be sent home in the second round with a lot of questions. And that's what I'm looking at. Oh, my gosh, this East race is going to make somebody really upset, because those teams are all spending, and they're all, they can all win it. So, look, Boston has been the number one team from front to back, and I certainly can't deny that they are much deeper than they were a year ago when they went to the finals. But Milwaukee has barely been whole and is sitting there in second place and has won 12 games in a row. And I think when everybody's fully healthy and at full power, I think Milwaukee is the best team. I actually believe that last year. If Chris Middleton hadn't gotten hurt, I think the Bucks would have won their second straight title. But Chris Middleton did get hurt. And Giannis has dealt with several injuries this year. And so, and Joel Embiid has gotten hurt routinely in the postseason. So I think health, unfortunately, is going to play a huge role in who ends up winning it.
Well, I mean, I can't believe it. It looks like a misprint. The Nets being 10 games over 500 after everything this year, with Kyrie and his Amazon video tweet and his suspension. And then we all know now he's on the Mavericks. Durant getting hurt. Simmons hardly really doing very much, with the exception of a 2-week burst during, the fall. Is Jacques Vaughn getting any outside dark horse coach of the year conversation? I mean, that's unbelievable, Brian.
He's not getting that, but he's getting a lot of people's sympathy.
Interesting.
Yeah, it helps when you go on a streak where you go 18-2.
Yeah, that
helps your overall record. They went 18-2 when Kyrie and Durant were healthy and engaged, and that was why people thought they had a real chance. I was one of them. And I thought it was going to be questionable whether they could win 3 playoff rounds with Ben Simmons and Nick Claxton, both of whom can't go to the free throw line. But they had a really good team, and it was one of the reasons why they held on, Rich, for so long, with so many drama that hit, because they were trying to just give themselves one honest chance, and they weren't even able to do that. But they do have a very stocked roster. And while people here in Phoenix still, are very excited about picking up Kevin Durant, there's still a tinge of melancholy because they gave up Mikal Bridges, who was one of the most beloved Suns players of the modern era. And Bridges, you're going to see when he's not, yielding to Booker and Chris Paul, which he should have. That's not saying he shouldn't have. He's really talented. So they have a really talented team, but I think they've got a really talented team that's going to finish 5th or 6th for the next few years.
Right.
Because they gave away their elite talent. But, they're a somewhat interesting team, but they're really a story of missed opportunity.
And 2 more for you. The Hawks go where with their coach now? Is it Quinn Snyder? Is it going to be him?
I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a general manager at a press conference where he announced the firing, where he openly said who they wanted to hire. Landry Fields, who... the Hawks, I should point out, have fired their general manager. I mean, I guess he resigned, Travis Schlenk, and coach mid-year. Never good. I've been around covering the NBA for 20 years. That's my knowledge, Rich. I can impart to you this great wisdom. It's never good when you move on from your GM and coach in the middle of the season. But Landry Fields comes out at the press conference announcing they fired Nate McMillan and says, "Yeah, Quinn Snyder is the guy we want." I mean, it's kind of like LeBron's open recruiting of Kyrie Irving over the All-Star weekend. The only thing LeBron didn't say was, "Boy, Kyrie, I love the way you're wearing your hair these days." It was just short of that. And that's essentially what the Hawks did. They were just like, yeah, we're trying to get a jump, and we'd love to have Quinn Snyder. the thing about Quinn Snyder is that just about every job opening that's going to happen, and there's almost certainly going to be a handful more, is going to want Quinn Snyder. And Quinn Snyder might want to see what happens with the draft lottery, because Victor Wembanyama, who's coming over from France, is one of the most intriguing, if not the most intriguing draft prospect in 20 years. And I'm not saying that that's where Quinn would go, but if I had 4 or 5 options, I'd like to see everything play out. So I'm sure the Hawks, when I say I'm sure, it's really come out of Landry Field's mouth that they'd like to hire Quinn Snyder this afternoon. But Quinn Snyder is going to probably wait and see how everything plays out. He is the most desired coach on the market.
And then the last one for you, with a 20-some-odd game sprint to the end of the season, have we now departed the injury management stars that were injured a year and a half ago, or injury management, and they're sitting on back-to-back games portion of the season, or we're going to still see that?
No. I mean, we'll definitely continue to see load management. And in some cases, I think it makes sense. There's some teams that probably should prepare for the postseason, but there's some teams that cannot afford even one loss. So like the Lakers cannot afford to give away one game if they're going to accomplish this. So I would say that unless LeBron is really, or AD is really banged up, you're not going to see load management. But if you're the Denver Nuggets and you're protecting Jamal Murray, your point guard who's just now playing well, coming off a torn ACL, and you got a 5-game lead in the West, I could see you holding him out of some games. So it's going to depend team to team, but this is the load management era, and it's a complicated issue, and it hurts the NBA on a regular basis, and it's not going away anytime soon.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.